Hi, Linda here. I created this page to document my journey, my survivorship journey with inflammatory breast cancer. I will just shortly, or maybe not shortly, we'll see, talk about how we got here, how I got here, in terms of to the diagnosis, just in case it may be helpful for someone. Because some of the symptoms may mimic other health conditions, and so you may fall under the radar and it may be difficult to get an early diagnosis. So I would say 2 years now, for about 2 years, I've had fatigue. When I initially went to see my physician, they tested me, they did the comprehensive lab panel and realized that I was vitamin D deficient. And so the assumption was that is the problem. I understood that Black women are more likely to be vitamin D deficient. And also, I lived up north for a little while, and I wasn't as out and about as I used to be when I lived in the South. So I went with that. I thought, okay, so I started taking supplements, started getting more sunlight because we moved back down south, and I tried to be out as much as possible, and that didn't help. I was still tired. There would be times where I would want to take naps in the middle of the day. And I always beat myself up about it. Like, what is wrong? Am I lazy? Why am I so tired all the time? And I see my colleagues and my friends, and they have these bursts of energy. I'm taking my supplements and I'm still very tired. So that was one symptom. And then in summer of last year, so summer 2023, I in July, I'll say July 30th, I had a dream. And in this dream, this has nothing to do with the symptoms. This is a spiritual, spiritual symptom, not the physical symptoms. But spiritually, I had a dream, and there was a roller coaster that was out of control. But we had to get on that roller coaster to get to where we needed to go. So braced ourselves and got on it while it's going. Like the roller coaster was going really fast and it grabbed us. I don't know who the other people were, but it was me. I remember myself. And as it was going around like this, you know how it stops at the top, you're upside down like this. I look down and I see a lion's den and there's a lion there. So the roller coaster threw me in the lion's den. The lion was there waiting. Threw me in the lion's den. Then the lion started lunging at me. And every time it came to run at me, I would push it with my right arm. It came back again, I would push it. It came back and attacked me on my right side. I pushed it. And the more time I pushed it away, the more it tried to come. Then after a while, it gave up. When I pushed it, it fell to the edge of the fence and it whimpered like a dog. You know, when a dog has been hurt, it's like, and it ran away. So then I woke up and I prayed, and I shared this with some friends of mine who are, part of my core group, and I shared the dream with them. And my good friend said that something is coming that is out of your control, but God will give you victory over it. I prayed about it and I got the confirmation that yes, something is coming. I wasn't sure what it was. And with these types of things, you're like, okay, is it this? Is it that? Every time something happens, is this? Is it that? So come August, I started having pain in my left breast. And I thought that I had gotten injured. Maybe I slept wrong. Then I also thought maybe my daughter, when we do cuddle time, she's a pretty tough girl, rough girl. She kind of like elbows you in there. So I thought maybe that is that. And I realized that when I'm getting closer to my cycle, the pain increases. So I'm like, what is going on? So August, I started having feeling of pain. It wasn't very sharp, but it was there. Then come September, I started seeing my breast change. Because I'm dark, I'm dark skinned, or I'm a black woman, darker skinned woman. I didn't see the swelling, the redness, but my breast was getting thicker. And then I started seeing those little dots that look like what are the orange peel, the pod orange, which is characteristic of inflammatory breast cancer. So my husband saw it and he said, "You need to get that checked." And I have to confess, I didn't really take my health seriously to the point where I need to go get preventative care. Um, since I moved back to the south of Florida here, there's always something happening, and I don't prioritize my health. It was just, that's it. I just didn't prioritize it. So I was like, I'm okay. This is just something. And he said, no, you need to go get that checked. And indeed, I knew I did, because I teach, about a disease prevention course. And one of the things I talk about is cancer and breast cancer. And I know the symptoms. I also do breast self-exams. That is one preventative thing I do, at least. And I didn't feel any lumps. So I decided to go on October 23rd, because it had gotten worse. The pitted loop was really increasing, especially at the southern part of my breast. And so I went to a nurse practitioner, and I told her my symptoms. She felt my breast. She said, good thing she doesn't feel any lump, but she'll recommend for me to go get a mammogram. So I went to get a mammogram on the 25th. And I'm grateful that she recommended a mammogram with a CT scan, because I ended up having what they call dense breast, and so therefore it creates an inconclusive result under the mammogram. They have to do further testing to make sure they can see through or beyond the density of the breast, to really see and make sure that there are no lumps. So they did the CT scan, and that's where they found 2 lesions, one at 3 o'clock and one at 12 o'clock. And they also found enlarged lymph nodes. At that point, even as they were doing the CT scan, I was like, oh gosh, they have found something. They have found something. And so they recommended for me to go get a biopsy. So I went to get a biopsy on November 10th. And just, plugging in here, God's grace, my mother-in-law arrived on November 9th from Ghana. We've been trying to get her here for 8 years. By the grace of God, her visa was approved and she was able to come. She came on the 9th. I went to get my biopsy on the 10th. And the 14th is when they called me to tell me that I have invasive ductal carcinoma with lymph node involvement. I saw the result in my my portal right before the nurse practitioner called me herself, and I shared it with my friends, my friends who are health professionals, to ask, what does this mean? But just to rewind a little bit, because I'll say this is my journey of faith, also, and my journey in purpose, and understanding the purpose of all of this, and attributing everything to God. And so 3 days, when I did my biopsy, first of all, when my mammogram came, I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my mom that they found lumps. I said, I'm not going to alarm her. I'll just wait until I get a final result. So I didn't tell her. Interestingly enough, before I went for my biopsy, my mom had a dream, and a calendar appeared in front of her, and it had 3 days marked out, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that she needed to fast. She heard fast, fast, fast. So she calls me. She's like, Linda, we need to fast. I don't know what for. I knew why. She said she doesn't know why for, but let's fast. And I said, of course. So I also share with my friend, my mentor, who is the pastor, Pastor Darius. And I also shared with my core friends, my 2 friends that I pray with. And they all joined in fasting. Actually, before my mom had given that, my friend Tia also said we need to fast. And so we were fasting while mom was also telling us to fast. And during that time, they were saying, do not agree with this diagnosis. And I wasn't, but in my mind, I just knew that it's going to come back that I have this. So every time I prayed, I was praying, Lord, let me not get this diagnosis. And every time I prayed, it didn't feel right. And God was saying, Linda, you need to pray to walk through this, to fight through this. You need to pray for the grace and the strength to fight through this because it's coming, it's here. So I said, so this is the dream of the lion's den. So yeah, fast forward, I tell mom, I asked my mentor to go and be with her, and I give her the news, and she was strong because she was strong. God had prepared her somehow, but still, I think it goes in phases, even with myself. Initially, it was like, I knew it. God told me I will be well. I have the victory. A few days later, like, what is this? What is this? I'm 36 years old. I'm not ready for I'm not at the age of getting a mammogram, so I didn't even have that in my mind. I don't have a family history of breast cancer. I have a family history of cancer. My father had liver cancer. My paternal mother, auntie, his sister, had uterine cancer, and her brother, my dad's brother, had colorectal. So we had cancer, and even on my mother's side, but it was not breast cancer, at least as far as we know. So I'm like, where did this come from? And it feels like it just escalated so quickly. I asked the surgeon, and he was like, cancer can be in your body for about 7 years before you start, manifesting symptoms or before you discover it. And when I went to meet with him, I showed him the breast, and I told him, I have this pitted look. Are you sure this is not inflammatory instead of it just being invasive ductal carcinoma? And he said, that could be edema because of the axillary lymph nodes and the blockage of the fluid flow. And I said, please, can you? And he said, yeah, you know what, to be safe, let's do a punch biopsy. So immediately that day, that visit with the surgeon, on the 21st of November, he did the punch biopsy. And while I was away when I came back from Thanksgiving break, so the 27th, he called me and told me, the cancer has traveled to your skin. And this is indeed inflammatory breast cancer. So we're talking stage 3B. So we came from stage 2A to stage 3B. So I said, okay, I knew it. That's why I say we're the subject matter expert of our own bodies. We are experts of our bodies. And we have to collaborate with providers and not just be receiving their diagnosis and their interpretations of things. They're very knowledgeable, but they're textbook knowledgeable. They're not your body knowledgeable. So it's really a partnership. And if you go in with that mindset, you can really have better outcomes for yourself. So I taught this, but I'm living it now. Like, you have to advocate for yourself and know that you deserve to be in that space and to speak up and to vocalize your symptoms, vocalize what you're feeling. Do not allow for there to be room for medical gaslighting, where they tell you that what you're feeling is made up, that it's not real, you're a hypochondriac. No, you know your body, and you know aberrations in your body, or you may feel them. Now, for me, I said, okay, because I mentioned the fatigue, I didn't know it was associated with this. So now it's making sense. I'm just happy to know that these pains I was having in my hips and my joints, and there might be arthritis. Actually, the bones can't say that I have some arthritis in my large bones. Seemingly arthritis in my large bones. That's anyway. So you know your body. And so I'm grateful that he listened to me. And it doesn't change the medication protocol, the treatment protocol. I still get carboplatin. For the chemo, I get tamoxil and carboplatin. And then because my tumor markers are HER2 positive, when we talk about the tumor markers, you have estrogen, progesterone, or HER2, meaning these are the markers found on the tumor, and that is how the tumor is fed, right? So thankfully, thankfully, because I don't have to go on a prolonged protocol of estrogen, of hormone therapy, but my tumor is estrogen negative and progesterone negative, but it is HER2 positive. The unthankful part about that is HER2 positive is aggressive, meaning that tumor differentiates quickly. Actually, all of them were grade 3, which is the highest grade of differentiation, meaning it causes abnormalities in the cells. The replication rate was high, meaning the proliferation rate, meaning the cell replicates, the tumors can grow fast and quickly, rapidly. And then the KI was 60%, 60 plus, 60%. So that's pretty high. It's an aggressive tumor. They're aggressive tumors. And the fact that they have traveled to my lymph nodes is very important to quickly grab onto treatment, because when they get to that lymph node, the lymph node travels through the rest of your body. It can supply fluid, it drains fluid from your body, and it passes through fluid through your body. And so the tumor can break off and travel to other parts of your body, causing malignancy. Causing metastasis, which means it has traveled to to other parts of your body, other regions of your body. And so that's stage 4, and that's when it's, difficult to cure. So thankfully, mine is localized. Even if it's in the skin, it is still localized. I did an MRI, a CAT scan, I did a CT scan, MRI, bone scan, echocardiogram. All of those were done to get baseline, to know where I am. Thankfully, although they found lesions in my liver, they're benign. They're called hemangiotomas, I believe, hemangiotomas. And then they found pleural effusion, which is fluid in the space between my lungs and my chest wall, but they're traced. So they're on both sides of my lungs, but they're not significant. And then also in the bone scan, they identified that my 12th rib was that they saw activity in my 12th rib. They're trying to redo that to make sure they rule out metastasis. So that's where I am. On the 27th, I got my port put in. 28th, I got my chemo port put in. And I started treatment on December 14th. I started chemo. Then that started the journey. I just got my second round of chemo yesterday on January 4th. So it will be every 3 weeks. I do treatment. The next day I get the white blood cell booster, because chemo kills your cells, and so they give you the booster to quickly grow your white blood cells. That comes with symptoms of its own. Talk about gastrointestinal issues, bone pain. I felt like my bones were about to fall from under me. Thankfully there are medications, because years ago there weren't medications, that array of medications that are available to me right now. So I am on Imodium. I take Zofran for nausea, and I hadn't, but I'm going to now to take antihistamines to help with the pain that comes from getting the white blood cell booster. I also found out that I can request for what do they call it? The infusions, to request for hydration. And that can help with the fatigue, everything that comes with using the bathroom a lot and the medication. So that's going to help, because I did opt to continue teaching this spring semester. I asked for intermittent leave, so I take the leave as needed, but I will continue to teach and then get my treatments toward the latter end of the week, so that I have the weekend to somehow recover. Now, the way that I see it, unfortunately, I get the treatment Thursday and Friday, and I have Saturday and Sunday to recoup, but those are the best days, because on the fourth to seventh days when it's crazy. And yet I teach on Monday and Wednesday, so that's going to be interesting to navigate that. If I need leave, I will take it. I will take it. I have to prioritize my health. I'm grateful I've had a supportive department. I've had a supportive chair, and so I will work with them. I will work with them because they are also working with me. And I think the main thing will be communication. So that's where I am. That was my journey. So to recap, pay attention to your body. If there's something different, dig deeper and deeper. Rely on your resources, your friends who are professionals. Rely on, your knowledge. Dr. Google's out there. Don't rely fully on him, because he's going to give you diagnoses that, let him not diagnose you, but it's good to look up some terms. Let's say you look at your medical records and you don't know what means. Having access to your medical records is a privilege. And I will have to say I am grateful. I am living in a society where treatment is rapid. Access to treatment is rapid. Within a month, within 6 weeks, I've started treatment. That's not the case everywhere. People have to chase down doctors to just get their labs, to get interpretation to their labs, to get medication. It takes a while. And by that time, if you have such a rapid growing tumor, an aggressive cancer, it has, it spreads quick. So it's a key thing that I'm not taking for granted, that I have access to healthcare. That is a basic human right, that unfortunately many of us are not, many people are not awarded. Now the challenge comes in with cost, and that's a whole different video. We still run this healthcare like it's a marketplace. I mean, it is. They just, as soon as you get diagnosed, they're telling you have to pay up your part. I can't even think of the term. My brain is foggy, but you have to quickly, they say, oh, you're coming for the port putting. Well, you need to give us $5,000 before. I'm like, do you think I just have $5,000 sitting in my account? And she said, what can you do? Can you do 500? I'm like, does she know rent is due? What is happening here? Mortgages are due. What is happening? And I'm still trying to just wrap my head around the fact that they're telling me I have cancer. And immediately you're calling me to tell me about costs. I mean, I understand they have a job to do, but the way they did it is so inhumane. Gosh. And then you realize the type of health insurance you have is bogus almost, it's a lot. Paying deductibles. And then there's co-pays. Then you have to reach a certain amount before they can cover everything. And by that time, it's time for a new year where it starts all over again. That's the situation I'm in. So then also leveraging on resources about support groups, and also financial resources available for survivors, people who are in between. Like myself, I'm not in a poverty, by the grace of God, thankfully, and I'm also not, I'm not banking. I am in a place where I need help too. And so that's where I see now the importance of having, knowing people who have gone through this and what they use to support themselves financially and their families. The American Cancer Society is one. There's a breast cancer coalition here. There are different agencies. So I'm doing a lot of research in the times I have strength. My husband is also helping to see how do we offset some of these costs that insurance is not covering. I'm very grateful. I have a family friend who is an aunt, an uncle. They're angels in our lives, and they have helped us financially. I don't take that for granted. I'm grateful because not everyone has that. So that's helpful because its deductibles are really high. And so it's been a journey on multiple levels. It's eye-opening, and it's really where what I have learned in theory as a public health professional, I'm now learning practically. And when we talk about systems, issues of health systems that are multi-level, disparities in healthcare, yeah, I know it now. I'm learning it now, and I'm at an advantage because I'm educated to the level that I am to know what is best practice. What is best practice? So I have a little one who is eager to see me. I will stop here. 25 minutes. I thought it would be short, but thank you for listening to my story. I hope it's of any help. So please get yourself checked. Do breast self exams. Go get mammograms if you're of the age, and even if you're not, if you have a family history. Thankfully, they did the BRCA genetic testing, and I don't have any mutations. So that's good. And also make sure you ask for that. If you've been diagnosed, make sure you ask, or you can go get genetic testing and make sure that you don't carry the BRCA genes. These are genes that have been linked to breast cancer. BRCA, there's BRCA 1, 2, and I believe 3 that have been linked. So look into that. When you know, you do better. Knowledge is power. All right, God bless you all.